Good morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Sergeant Joe Brisebois, and I'm the moderator for today. In a true spirit of truth and reconciliation, we will begin by acknowledging the traditional and treaty territory on which we gather today. This is the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, as well as the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, and Wyandot peoples. These lands have been home to Indigenous peoples for thousands of years and remain significant to their communities today. We acknowledge with respect and gratitude that our work takes place on unceded and occupied territories of 133 First Nation across the province of Ontario and invite the opportunity to honor them. Miigwech. The media release for the investigation, along with supporting documentation, including an addendum of charged persons, photos, graphics, and B-roll, are being distributed through the OPP News Release portal. Our first speaker with formal remarks is OPP Commissioner Thomas Carrique. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sergeant. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Today, we're announcing the results of Project Chickadee, an investigation that demonstrates the collaboration and vigilance that are essential in the fight against organized crime. Auto theft fuels organized crime networks, threatens community safety, and impacts families, businesses, and neighborhoods across Ontario. Ontario saw a surge in auto theft over recent years, from nearly 17,000 stolen vehicles in 2020 to more than 30,000 in 2023. Thanks to strategic public safety investments by the province of Ontario, enabling the establishment of the Provincial Auto Theft and Towing Team, the Major Auto Theft Prosecutional Response Team, and coordinated interoperability across all levels of law enforcement, the concerning auto theft trend is showing a decline. Nevertheless, auto theft continues to victimize and cost Canadians in excess of $1 billion in insurance claims annually. Motivated by profit, organized crime views auto theft as a low-risk, high-reward enterprise. That's why law enforcement must remain relentless in our efforts to combat this crime and protect our communities from the criminal networks perpetrating these costly and often dangerous crimes. Project Chickadee targeted the entire chain of criminal activity, including registered freight forwarding companies and owners who knowingly facilitated the illegal exportation of stolen vehicles. What started as a local investigation uncovered a network of international reach, shipping stolen vehicles overseas to markets where they sell for double their Canadian value. This is organized crime on a global scale. And today, we have sent a clear message. Ontario will not be a source for criminal profits. Intelligence from FinTrack identified illicit transactions linked to registered businesses, revealing the international scope of this network and its ties to transnational organized crime. By targeting the financial incentives and tools that enable these operations, we strike at the very foundation of organized crime and create a powerful deterrent. Shortly, OPP Detective Inspector Scott Wade will share details of the investigation and its significant results, including the recovery of 306 stolen vehicles, the seizure of firearms and cash, the arrest of 20 offenders, including the laying of organized crime-related charges in Project Chickadee. These enforcement outcomes were possible because of the collaboration between the OPP-led Auto Theft and Towing Team, Canadian Border Services Agency, Equité Association, and our valued policing partners across Ontario and beyond. In particular, the Sûreté de Québec, who are with us here this morning. I want to thank and acknowledge the dedicated officers, skilled analysts, the Major Auto Theft Prosecution Response Team, and all of our partners for their tireless efforts to protect the safety and security of Ontario communities. by dismantling a criminal organization intent on causing harm to further their illicit profits through the exportation of stolen vehicles. I can personally assure you that we are collectively committed to protecting our province by holding offenders accountable for their crimes and dismantling their reckless and damaging criminal enterprises. I now welcome OPP Detective Inspector Scott Wade to provide the specific details of Project Chickadee. Inspector.
Thank you, Commissioner. Project Chickadee began in August 2023 when members of the OPP-led Provincial Auto Theft and Towing Team recovered 4 stolen vehicles in the Greater Toronto Area. Evidence revealed a sophisticated criminal network, including registered freight forwarding companies, utilizing fraudulent documentation to facilitate the illegal export of stolen vehicles overseas. From that point forward, this investigation became a joint effort between the OPP and the Canada Border Services Agency, Intelligence and Investigations Operations Division. We inspected shipping containers in transit and at the Port of Montreal, the Port of Vancouver, and the Port of Halifax, intercepting stolen vehicles before they could leave Canada. Our partners at the Royal Canadian Mounted Police assisted with an international component of this investigation. As part of Project Chickadee, 4 search warrants were executed in Toronto, Vaughan, Woodbridge, and Etobicoke on October 16, 2025. 1 individual was arrested and charged with 4 auto theft-related offenses, and 2 individuals fled from police but were later apprehended. On November 27, 2025, we executed search warrants at 23 residential and industrial locations and 13 vehicles across Ontario and 1 location in Quebec. The results of this operation are significant. 306 stolen vehicles were recovered, valued at more than $25 million. 20 individuals were arrested for a combined 134 charges, including participation in a criminal organization, money laundering, fraud, and theft-related offenses, as well as Customs Act offenses. Of the 20 individuals charged, 2 of the accused in Project Chickadee were on release orders for a prior conviction relating to auto theft or driving-related offenses. Seizures included 3 firearms, $190,000 in Canadian currency and $32,000 in US currency, as well as equipment used to steal vehicles and alter vehicle identification numbers. In addition, we seized 2 tractor-trailer cabs and 2 forklifts as offense-related property. This criminal investigation was shipping vehicles to destinations including the United Arab Emirates, Syria, Iraq, Turkey, Egypt, Lebanon, and several countries in West Africa, where the demand for high-end SUVs and luxury vehicles is high. This investigation demonstrates the importance of intelligence-led policing and collaboration across jurisdictions. By disrupting the infrastructure that enabled stolen vehicles to move beyond our borders, we have significantly impacted organized crime's ability to profit from these offenses. While enforcement is vital, prevention starts with all of us. For practical steps to protect your vehicle, visit opp.ca/autotheft. Together, we can reduce auto theft and protect our communities. I now welcome Trish-Ann Pascal, CBSA Executive Director of the Greater Toronto Area Region. Thank you.
Thank you, Detective Inspector Wade. Good morning and thank you all for joining us. Bonjour et merci à tous d'être ici aujourd'hui. My name is Trish-Ann Pascal and I'm the Executive Director for the Canada Border Services Agency in the Greater Toronto Area Region. Je m'appelle Trish-Ann Pascal et je suis directrice exécutive pour l'Agence de services frontaliers de la région du Grand Toronto. As Commissioner Creek mentioned earlier, the surge in auto thefts over recent years has impacted the safety of our communities, families, and businesses. At the same time, it is fueling organized criminal networks to continue in their illicit activities. The entire law enforcement community at the federal, provincial, and municipal levels are seized with this issue. This is exactly why we joined forces, to investigate every aspect of how these organizations operate. As we continue to work together on criminal investigations such as Project Chickadee, we will improve our abilities to leverage each other's expertise to dismantle all aspects of these criminal operations. The CBSA is mandated to enforce Canada's border legislation. By working together, we were able to dismantle how this organized crime group was exploiting Canada's commercial trade processes to further their illegal activities. Putting a stop to the exploitation of our border not only makes our community safer, but it also promotes Canada's international reputation. We want Canada to continue to be recognized as having a safe and secure border. Every seizure sends a clear message. The border is not open to criminals. In a few moments, Acting Director Abid Morgan will provide details on the CBSA's role in this investigation and the enforcement results achieved. Bien qu'il n'existe pas d'une solution unique à ce problème complexe, nous tous, membres de la communauté de l'application de la loi, croyons que grâce à la collaboration entre nos organismes et les intervenants de l'industrie, nous pouvons obtenir des résultats comme ceux dont nous avons été témoins ici aujourd'hui. While there's no single solution to this complex problem, all of us in the law enforcement community believe that through collaboration, enforcement agencies and industry stakeholders, together we can achieve results like what we have seen here today. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Commissioner Creek and Detective Inspector Wade for their lasting and successful partnership between the CBSA and the OPP. I look forward to our continued efforts to keep our community safe. I'll now invite Acting Director Abid Morgan to provide us with specific details on the CBSA's involvement in Project Chickadee. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you, Executive Director Pascal. Good morning. My name is Abid Morgan, and I'm the Acting Director of Intelligence and Investigations Operations Division in the CBSA's Greater Toronto Area region. Over the years, our intelligence and investigations operations have dedicated resources to gather intelligence on shipments suspected of containing stolen vehicles being exported from Canada. During this time, we've developed expertise in identifying trends to help us target these illicit shipments. I would like to thank the OPP for reaching out to the CBSA at the start of Project Chickadee, following their recovery of 4 stolen vehicles that were destined for export. This early engagement gave us the opportunity to assign intelligence and criminal investigations resources to participate in this investigation. Throughout Project Chickadee, the OPP and the CBSA coordinated investigative efforts, obtained evidence of the criminal activities of this group, and held them to account for their crimes. Our intelligence officers, criminal investigators, and members of our detector dog service participated in the search warrants executed on November 27th. Our criminal investigators laid 22 charges against 3 members of this organization for offenses under the Customs Act in relation to the illegal export of these stolen vehicles. I will take this opportunity to acknowledge the actions of our border services officers at various ports of entry across Canada, as their seizures of many of these stolen vehicles prevented the imminent exportation to other countries. With the knowledge gained from Project Chickadee on how organized crime groups are attempting to exploit Canada's border, we are able to strengthen our border enforcement efforts even further. Our border will not be used as a means to support criminal enterprise. When the CBSA becomes aware of illicit border activity, we will act. Now, should the public become aware of suspicious border activity, please contact the CBSA's Border Watch Line at 1-888-502-9060. I will conclude by congratulating the OPP and the CBSA for their investigative efforts following the success of Project Chickadee. I look forward to our ongoing partnership as we work together to keep Canadians safe. I now welcome Mr. Brian Gast from Chickity Association to the podium. Thank you.
Good morning and thank you. I'm Brian Gass, National Vice President of Investigative Services at Chickity Association, a national not-for-profit organization dedicated to combating insurance crime on behalf of the property and casualty insurance industry. I want to congratulate OPP Commissioner Creek, Deputy Commissioner Kearns, and the rest of the OPP team, as well as CBSA Executive Director Pascal, and all of the other partners for their outstanding effort and results of Project Chickadee. This is a powerful example of how government investments, great work by law enforcement, and public-private partnerships are having a significant impact to combat vehicle crimes in Canada. These are financially motivated crimes, and organized crime is at the root, seeking to profit from the $1 billion of stolen vehicles from Canada every year. Ontario's large population, high volume of targeted vehicles, and its proximity to the eastern ports make it especially vulnerable to auto theft. Equité plays a key role in tackling insurance crimes in Canada, particularly vehicle theft and fraud, by offering stolen vehicle identification expertise and analytics in collaboration with agencies like the OPP, RCMP, CBSA, and local law enforcement across the country. While we are seeing encouraging signs of progress with a decrease of 19% nationally and 26% in Ontario, auto theft numbers are still very high, and Canada remains a source country for stolen vehicles, with organized crime being at the root. We must continue to work together to protect all Canadians. Thank you.
We'll now open up the floor for questions. Please identify yourself, which outlet you are with, and who the question is for. You may ask one question and one follow-up.
Good morning, Megan Fitzpatrick from CBC News. Do you have any idea how, prior to arresting these 20 individuals, how many cars they may have stolen? How long have they been operating? And just clarify, of all the people you arrested, do they all know each other? Was this all one group operating together or multiple groups?
It's a good question. The groups interoperated, so they're not all just one cohesive group, but they certainly work together to facilitate their criminal networks. And as far as how long they've been operating, they were operating prior to our investigation. We are continuing the investigation. While we've had incredible success seizing 306 vehicles, the investigation is far from over. So we're going to continue that investigation, and some of that evidence will be before the courts, how long they operated, how they operated.
And I just quickly glanced at the sheet, but it looked like most of them are being remanded in custody. Is that correct? None of them have been released on bail of the 20 arrested?
No, so of the 20 arrested, 9 were held for bail. 1 in phase 1 and several in phase 2 of the arrests, and 6 are still in custody, while 3 have been released on conditions.
Do you want to say anything about that?
No.
We've heard from other police leaders frustrations over people arrested and released and not being held in custody. So if any of you would like to weigh in on that.
I'll certainly speak to that. So as a policing profession in the interest of public safety, we are working very closely with all levels of government to bring about legislative change. Right now, there's legislation before the House in the form of Bill C-14, which will see changes to the bail process. It will see changes to sentencing, all of which police leaders right across this country have been calling for and welcome the changes that are absolutely needed. When it comes to dangerous and repeat offenders who continue to victimize communities, bail should be a reverse onus that is on the accused and not the way it's currently been running. So we are looking forward to these much needed changes.
Good morning, Sean O'Shea with Global News. To perhaps the Commissioner or someone else, we've covered so many of these over the years, and it seems like the auto theft numbers have come down. I know in Toronto they have come down, but to what extent do the auto manufacturers still bear some responsibility? We heard about a year ago that there was going to be some effort to try to improve the safety protections there, but can you speak to that? Because people are buying these cars, they're replacing these vehicles, but they're still getting stolen. So what do you think they should be doing?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I'll start, and maybe Brian wants to contribute, because I know Equité works very closely with the auto manufacturers. We as a sector, and specifically the OPP, have met with a number of automotive manufacturers. We know that they are constantly trying to update their auto theft technology. Unfortunately, as quickly as they update it, these sophisticated criminal networks are finding technical workarounds. There are things that we can do as vehicle owners to ensure that we add to the technology that's put in by automotive manufacturers, having our vehicles tracked and traced, making sure that we're having port locks, even physical security means like a device that goes across your steering wheel. All of those will aid to it. We continue to want to see further advancements in the technology and remain willing and able to assist the automotive manufacturers with any such advice. Brian, would you have anything to add?
Yeah, and speaking on behalf of the insurance industry, not affiliated to law enforcement with this statement here, but it still remains one of the common themes between the vehicles that we're talking about in Project Chickity is the mechanism of theft is all technology based. So there's vulnerabilities. With every convenience becomes vulnerabilities to that vehicle, keyless entry, and reprogramming. So the National Auto Theft Summit called for a modernization of the current standard, which is dated back to 2007, hasn't been updated since. So the current methods of theft, reprogramming, CAN bus attacks, relay attacks aren't part of that the current standard that's required by manufacturers selling or manufacturing vehicles in Canada. Is that the silver bullet? No, but it's one area that to protect the vehicle, the consumer, from when they're making a significant purchase, that they have to go and add extra security features that they're on their tab is something that we're trying to overcome. Just making sure that all manufacturers are building the best secure vehicle that they possibly can. And again, right now they're building to the current standards. Some are going beyond that, but looking for what's going on internationally and making sure that Canada is well positioned to make sure we have secure vehicles.
Any other questions?
I can probably just shout this one out. Out of all the people who were arrested, were any of them repeat offenders? Or out on bail, or had been previous, were involved in the police photo and friends family photo album? Have they had records?
Yes, I can answer that. So of the 20 accused, 2 were on previous charges and were on release at the time of their arrest.
Similar charges?
Yes, for auto theft or driving related offenses.
What kinds of cars were being stolen that were seized of the 306?
I mean, it ran the gamut of the motor industry. There were some vehicles that were more stolen than others. Toyota and Honda. Some of the vehicles you see here are basically representing vehicles that were stolen. So it goes right up from super high-end luxury vehicles to everyday commuting cars. But primarily it was high-end luxury vehicles.
Were you amazed at how easy it is to steal some of these vehicles? You just need to order a part off of Amazon, an OBD reader, and you can start a car. Are you amazed that you can buy I'm guessing $600,000 car, and the car of that value can be started with an Amazon order?
I mean, as my friend Brian said, the public and the industry wants to provide convenience, and with that convenience, it becomes an avenue for organized crime to attack and steal vehicles. So we are working constantly with them to try and change and improve things, but it is right now, it's the convenience aspect that provides an avenue.
This concludes the formal portion of this media event. We'll now move on to the one-on-one interviews with our speakers. Thank you for joining us today as we shared the results of this impactful investigation. Thank you.